Hello and welcome. I hope you are having a fantastic day today. We're going to talk about cryptocurrency investing for beginners. Will it go up or will it go down? And this applies to Bitcoin or Ethereum or any coin out there. We are going to specifically examine Bitcoin in details. Part of the reason for that is Bitcoin has more history than any other cryptocurrency out there. But I'm going to show you how to take the tools that are available online and evaluate whether or not a cryptocurrency is on its way up or on its way down. I'm going to help you get into some tools. I'm also going to help you understand having a long-term perspective with cryptocurrency. A lot of people are thinking too short-term, and it ends up costing them money. It's wrecking a lot of people and a lot of their investment opportunities. So I hope you're as excited about this as I am. Let's get to it. I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is my opinion. I am not smarter than you. You are smarter than you realize. Do not trust what I say. Do your own research. And today, as part of our beginners training, I'm going to help you I'm going to help you see how you can do your own research. So the first thing is we're going to get some advice from the world's investment sage or guru, however you want to call it, Warren Buffett. And Warren Buffett says that this is a quote from Warren Buffett, "Our favorite holding period is forever." And as cryptocurrency investors, as people in general, we have a tendency to be impatient. And that has cost, I remember talking to somebody that I'm related to, and they were saying how their brother invested some significant money into cryptocurrency, into Bitcoin in particular, and that they got wrecked. And he quote unquote, he said he lost all of his money. Well, quite frankly, that's impossible, because if it was Bitcoin that he invested in, Bitcoin is still around. It never went to zero. And unless the cryptocurrency goes to zero, you can't lose all your money. Now, the other possibility is that somehow you put it in a wallet and you no longer have the keys to that wallet. Well, maybe that could have happened, and then in that case, he's right. He lost all his money. But I think what they were doing was they lost money because they sold too soon, and now they're being dramatic about it and saying, "Hey, I lost all my money." Well, the reason why a lot of people lose money is because they're not thinking like this, like Warren Buffett. They're not thinking that the time frame I'm investing is forever. If you think along those lines, you'll make more money with cryptocurrency. Now, let me show you some of the potential that has happened with the history of Bitcoin in particular. Now, I'm going to show you a lot of numbers as far as Bitcoin's pricing history, but I'm going to show it on the screen, and if you want to come back to it later, you can pause the video. Another thing that you can do is I'm going to show you where I get all these numbers so that you can actually look it up yourself. So I'm not going to go over this in detail, but I do want to point out some important aspects of these numbers. So we're going all the way back to the year 2010. This is when Bitcoin was first created. And on July 16th, according to Yahoo Finance, that was the first day of trading for Bitcoin. Now, I've heard other people talk about it and that there were trading going on prior to that, but a lot of that had to be done person to person, face to face, because in these days there were no exchanges that you could actually go to an exchange and trade it between you and somebody else. And so I'm not sure when the exchanges started happening. I don't know if that was on July 16th or if the exchanges started going live later than that. I know several people talk about the exchanges they were using were live in the 2012, 2013 time period. But that's not as important. Here's what's important. we're going all the way back to the beginning of Bitcoin and then coming up to today at 2019. And these dates in this column is the date when Bitcoin hit the lowest price for that year. And these dates are when Bitcoin hit the highest price for that year. So in 2010, the low was on July 16th. That's the first value that we have on Yahoo Finance, and it shows 5 cents for Bitcoin. And then on November 6th was the high of that year at 39 cents. So here's the interesting thing about the low. As you look across this low, every single year, the low went up and never came back down to that low. In fact, the closest that ever happened was this year, 2019 compared to 2018. But a big part of the reason for that is the dates. Notice down here, December 15th and February 7th. There's not a lot of time between those two dates. And so that's why, you see, most of the lows that Bitcoin had came early in the years. Notice this, January, February, July was the day one. But other than 2018, the low always happened either in January or February. So it's interesting that the lows were always happening early in the year. And then the second thing that's interesting is that every year it had a higher, the lowest price of the year was higher than the previous year. That's important because that shows you that as long as you, no matter where you buy it, as long as you hold on to your Bitcoin, eventually the low price will become greater than the price you paid and you'll be in a profitable situation. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. You have to be careful with cryptocurrency because it's extremely volatile. And what happened in the past may not happen in the future. Now, obviously, I feel strongly that there's a great likelihood that this is going to continue this way. And if I have some time, we may get into that into this presentation. But I've got other presentations out there where we get into why I think the future looks fabulous for Bitcoin in particular and for the better cryptocurrencies. And I say that specifically because there's a lot of junk cryptocurrencies out there and there's only a few really good cryptocurrencies out there. And so don't be just going out there willy-nilly and looking for the latest, greatest crypto because in the last couple of years, 60% of all the new ones, and let me repeat that because it's important for you to listen, 60% of the new cryptocurrencies in the last 2 years are now gone and dead. And so the people who still had money in those coins, 100% of that money is gone. So be very careful with investing in brand new coins. It's very possible for that coin to go to zero, and it has happened with more than half, 60% of the coins out there that were new within the last 2 years are now already gone. And so be careful with brand new coins. You're much safer with established coins. Now, I told you I was going to show you where I'm getting my data. I'm getting my data at Yahoo Finance. So if you go to yahoo.com and click on their finance tabs, like up here is the finance tabs, you'll find that. And then in this search bar up here, you can enter in any kind of cryptocurrency. So like right now I typed in BTC, which is the Bitcoin cryptocurrency, and you can see here how it says BTC_USD. What this is going to show us is Bitcoin, and they're going to show it to us in US dollars. And then over here you see that it just says cryptocurrency-CCD. And so there's some other choices down here. There will always be other choices when you're putting this in because Yahoo Finance is going to give you stocks. It's going to give you ETFs. It's going to give you a lot of other informations, a lot of data from a lot of other cryptocurrencies that you can take a look at. And so you want to make sure you're clicking on the right one. This is the right one for what we're interested in. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And what we can learn from this is we see the current price as of right now. I don't know if there's any kind of delay. There might be a 15-minute delay. This price here is a conglomerate of a number of different cryptocurrencies that Yahoo puts together and gets to this price. And they're doing it based off multiple exchanges out there. So they get the prices on those exchanges, and then they create the average, and then they show you the price here. And then you have other information. The one that I tend to use the most, though, is the chart. And so you can look at a chart and see where the prices are at. And here's the most important thing I want you to see from this chart. This peak, I need to get rid of that. This peak right here, we don't have enough time on this chart. Let me scroll up. I'm going to hit 2 years. So we're looking at a 2-year chart. Now, this peak right here hit 19,000. You can see the dollar amount over here on this side. You'll see it goes just under the 20,000. So this peak is $19,065. Now, the prices that we're seeing in green are the closing price. So with these kinds of charts, you're looking at different time periods, and I think most of these are days. No, they're multiple days, so that it may be a week. Yeah, when we go from one to the next, you can see down here the dates, and from 4/8 to 4/15 is exactly a week. So each little dot on here is actually 1 week, but I wanted to see the closing price just because it makes a cleaner and simpler chart. Here's the point that we really want to get at. This point right here, the price was at $19,000.65. All the way down here, it drops to $3,255, and then it goes up to $11,000 here, and then another $11,500, and then the price right now today, which is October 13th, 2019, we're at $8,290 for a single Bitcoin. So we started out this video talking about, will Bitcoin's price go up or will it go down? The answer is yes. It will go up and it will go down. And when it goes down, you need to have a strategy. And there's for most people, if you don't have some sort of computer algorithm, or you're trading based off of simple moving averages or some other system where you're using some sort of mathematical tool to help you decide when to buy and sell, I think the best advice that I could get and give it to my family is Warren Buffett's advice that their favorite holding period is forever. So when you're purchasing it, there's 2 strategies I would recommend. If you're going to invest a large amount all at one time and you're not going to do that amount at any other time, I would try and find a low and invest when it's at a lower price. And so the only way you can get that is by watching it for a while, by listening to some people that have a good eye on the market, and a number of other means like that. And the other strategy would be to decide on a particular amount. I'm going to invest $100, or I'm going to invest $50, or whatever that amount is, and do it every single week. Every single week, invest a certain amount into Bitcoin. That's called, oh shoot, that was just on the tip of my tongue. If I think of it, I'll mention it later in the video. But it's a form of investing similar to what you do with a 401k. Your 401k automatically deposits a certain amount of money out of your paycheck into your 401k account every time you get paid. And so I would recommend for my mom that she would consider doing one of 2 strategies, either doing a lump sum. And the sooner you do it, don't be saying, oh, I'm going to wait for several months to try and find a low price. No. Wait for days or a week or a couple of weeks, but unless it's doing a parabolic growth where it's doubling in price, then I would consider holding and waiting for it to hit the peak and then start crashing again. But if it's not doing like this parabolic move, notice the price was at $5,800 on November 5th, and then November 12th it went up between 5,800 to 8,000. That's a huge gain. And then it made another huge gain to 9,300, and then jumps all the way up to 11,000, and then jumps up to 15,000, and then jumps up to 19,000. So in a matter of from 11/5, November 5th to December 10th, it went from 5,000 to really close to $20,000. That's 4 times its value in a matter of 4 weeks. And if Bitcoin's price is doing that, don't hold. I would tell my mom, wait until it peaks up here. It's going to crash back down, and wait until it crashes back down and bounces up a little bit. At that point, I would go ahead and invest it. And I would be really careful of this kind of a bounce that comes out early. I would wait for it to come down and hit at least one bounce and maybe a second bounce before I would be looking for it to really bottom out. But I would not be jumping in. Don't jump in when it's doing this kind of incredibly fast growth. Anyway, enough of that. So here's how you can find the chart. Another thing that's valuable that I use, because I'm kind of a numbers person, as you may or may not have noticed. I like numbers. Is you see here, as we've gotten into Yahoo Finance, we have the summary page, we have the chart page, and then we have a historical data page. And so if I click on the historical data page, I can see all of the pricing information all the way back for as long as Yahoo actually has a record of it. And you can click on this and you can change the dates. So you can set a start date and an end date for the data that you want to look at, or you can tell it, I want 1 day, 5 days, 6 months. I want all of your data. When you click on max, it'll automatically populate the start date and end date for you. And then you can click on done. And if you click over here, you can actually download a CSV, a comma separated file, just a regular text file, and view it. And you can either read that text file in a standard, text editor, or you can put it into a spreadsheet program such as Excel. So that's the key things that I wanted to show you about Yahoo Finance is the summary page, the chart page, and the historical data page. And Yahoo Finance has many cryptocurrencies, but with almost 2,000 different cryptocurrencies, there are some that you'll try that Yahoo Finance does not have information on. If Yahoo Finance does not have information on the particular cryptocurrency that you're interested in learning more about, that would raise a red flag for me. And the reason why it raises a red flag is Yahoo Finance doesn't have every cryptocurrency, but it does have the big ones. And so if it's not big enough to be listed on Yahoo Finance, for me, that raises some concerns, and it means I need to be cautious of this, and I'm much, much less likely to be willing to invest in it, because I'm only looking for something that has some strength and some stability in it, because there's been so many cryptocurrencies that are now dead. I don't want to invest in something that in a few months or even a couple of years is a dead crypto. All right, so we looked at this chart a little while ago. Now the other chart I want to show you, I'm not going to go over this in detail, but you can always pause the video and take your time with the numbers, is if you invested $1,000 and then waited for 3 years, how much money would you make? And so if you invested January 1, 2010 and waited until October 10th, that was just a few days ago, you would have your $1,000 investment would now be worth $8,640. And the same thing with January 1, 2016 to December 31st, it's worth about $8,000. Now you'll notice that the numbers go all the way up to $2,686,466. But in every single case during the current history of Bitcoin, you made some money. The worst period of time was this one right here, where you only made $1,180. But think about that for a moment. What other investment in stocks or bonds, gold, real estate, silver, platinum, I don't know, think of something, whatever other place you would put your money to expect it to grow, getting an 18% return, which is what that is. That's an 18% return on your $1,000 over a 3-year time period is significant. While there's definitely investments that do better than 18%, when you look at like the S&P 500 for the Dow Jones Industrial, getting an 8% return is what it's averaged over the last 50 years, and there's a ton of people that are investing in the stock market. And so given that the stock market's average has been around 8% a year, getting 18% over 3 years is not an embarrassment. It's nothing like going to the bank and getting, 1% or 0.01%, depending on where you're banking. So that's not shabby. Here's the point of this whole thing. There's some significant money on here, and the only way you could have acquired any of these dollar amounts, including the 1,180, is by buying and waiting for 3 years. And so when it comes to cryptocurrency, my recommendation to my mom is buy it and hold it for at least 3 years. For 3 years, forget about that it even exists. If you decide to invest on a weekly basis or you decide to invest more, great. But don't be looking at it constantly. Don't be tempted to sell it. Don't be tempted to get out of it. Buy and hold it for 3 years and then see where it's at. And so that way you have the best opportunity to let it grow. All right, in conclusion, how can I be of service to you? If you have questions from this video, please leave them in the comments below, or I have a Google form. You can click the link below and use the Google form to communicate with us privately. If you include your email address, I will email you back directly. In the meantime, like, subscribe, and hodl. I hope you have a fantastic